Welcome back to Faith is the Podcast, the 114. We're going to be diving into some pretty powerful ideas today. Ideas all centered around unlocking your creative potential. And, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll unravel that little mystery of 114 a little later in the episode. It's actually a verse that ties in beautifully with our theme today.
Yeah, it's amazing how one single motivational speech can spark so much thought.
Right. Today's deep dive was inspired by a speech by Myles Monroe. It's called Don't Wait for Opportunity, Create It. This is one that you sent in, and I have to say, it really resonated with me. This idea that, we're not meant to just passively wait for good things to happen. We're actually designed to create them.
Yeah, that's what's so captivating about Monroe's message. He doesn't just tell us, to be go-getters. He connects it to our very nature as human beings. He says humans are born creators, not waiters, and we have this power within us, this inherent power to shape our opportunities, even our destinies.
It's like we're all born with these incredible toolkits, but sometimes we forget they even exist. Like we get stuck in this consumer mindset waiting for the world to just hand us what we want.
Exactly. And Monroe uses this brilliant analogy of birds building their nests. They don't wait for a handout or for someone to build it for them. They see a need and they just take action. They gather twigs, mud, whatever they can find, and they create a home for themselves.
Wow. It makes me think about all the times I've fallen into that when-then trap. When I get that promotion, then I'll be happy. Or when I find the perfect partner, then I'll finally start that business. It's almost like we're delaying our own joy and fulfillment, putting it off for some, future date that may never even arrive.
It really is a subtle form of self-sabotage, isn't it? And what's so fascinating is that this whole when-then syndrome often stems from deeper fears, things like fear of failure, fear of judgment, maybe even fear of success itself.
Oh, absolutely. So if we're going to truly step into those creator roles, we have to address those fears. We have to address them head on. What I loved about Monroe's speech is that he doesn't just tell us to be fearless. He gives us this really practical framework. He lays out these 4 key principles for us: preparation, vision, initiative, and responsibility.
And those principles are not just some abstract ideas, they're tools we can use, tools that we can actually use to dismantle those fears and move forward.
Exactly. So let's start with preparation. Monroe emphasizes that we can't just sit around and wait for inspiration to strike. We have to be prepared for it, to cultivate those skills and knowledge that will allow us to seize opportunities when they arise.
It's like a gardener preparing the soil before planting seeds. You don't just scatter seeds on hard ground and expect them to flourish. You till the soil, you add nutrients. You're creating the right conditions for growth.
That's a fantastic analogy. And when it comes to vision, it's not about some vague pie-in-the-sky dream. Monroe encourages us to be specific about it, to write it down, to make that vision tangible.
It's really about creating that roadmap for our creative journey. The more clearly we define where we want to go, the easier it becomes to chart a course and stay on track.
And that brings us to initiative. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? It's about taking that first step, even if it's messy, imperfect, a little scary even.
Yeah, Monroe really challenges us to move beyond the realm of ideas and get into the realm of action. He uses the example of the Wright brothers. They didn't just sit around waiting for someone else to invent the airplane. They took the initiative, they experimented, and ultimately they changed the world.
I love that. It's such a good reminder that, we don't have to have all the answers before we start. Sometimes the act of taking action actually unlocks those new insights and possibilities.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads us into that 4th principle. Responsibility, owning our choices, owning our actions, the successes and the failures, recognizing that we have the power to shape our creative journeys.
This is a big one. This is where I think a lot of people get tripped up. It's so much easier to blame our circumstances or to blame other people for, our lack of progress. But Monroe reminds us that true creators take ownership. They see those setbacks as learning opportunities, not reasons to give up.
It's so inspiring because he doesn't just leave us with these 4 principles and say, good luck. He offers us some practical advice, the practical advice on how to actually put them into practice. He talks about establishing daily disciplines, those small, consistent actions that build momentum over time.
So it's not about making some huge sweeping change overnight. It's about those tiny steps, those daily choices that over time create extraordinary results. He even suggests, setting aside a power hour each day, just dedicating that first hour to focusing on your vision and your goals.
It's a way to prioritize your creative endeavors, even amidst the busyness of life. And it doesn't have to be a huge time commitment. Even 15 minutes a day of really focused action can make a significant difference.
Oh, I love that. It's such a good reminder that we all have the same 24 hours. It's all about how we choose to use them. Now, Monroe is very clear that creation is not always easy. There will be challenges, setbacks. You're going to have critics along the way.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But he also emphasizes that those rewards far outweigh the costs. The joy of creating something new, bringing your vision to life, that's a feeling that can't be replicated.
And, he reminds us that we're not in this alone. As people of faith, we believe that we are co-creating with God. He's given us these gifts, these talents, this creative spark, and he wants to see us use them.
And speaking of God's involvement in creation, let's circle back to that mysterious 114 you mentioned earlier.
Ah, yes, the big reveal. As promised, 1:14 refers to John 1:14. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us.
Wow. This verse really speaks to the ultimate act of creation, doesn't it? God taking the initiative to enter into human history, to offer salvation through Jesus Christ.
It's such a beautiful reminder that true creation often involves humility, sacrifice, willingness to meet people where they are. And just like God took the initiative to come to us, we're called to use our creative gifts to serve others, to make the world a more beautiful and loving place.
And it doesn't have to be, some grand world-changing gesture. It can be something as simple as offering a kind word, lending a helping hand, using your talents to brighten someone's day.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what is one small act of creation that you can do today to step into that creator role? Maybe it's finally starting that project you've been putting off, writing that song, or simply having a meaningful conversation with someone that you love. What will you create today?
And remember, you don't have to wait for permission. You are already equipped with everything you need. The time for waiting is over. The moment for creation is now.
It's so easy to get caught up in that, that someday I'll mindset.
Yeah.
But Monroe's message is such a powerful reminder that someday is now. So what resonated with you most from his speech?
For me, it's the emphasis on recognizing our inherent creative power, as humans made in the image of God. And it's not about ego or, striving for worldly success. It's about aligning ourselves with that creative force that brought the universe into being.
Yeah, and that alignment brings a sense of purpose, doesn't it? It's not just about creating things. It's about creating with intention, with a desire to make a positive impact, on the world around us.
Oh, absolutely. It reminds me of this story we heard about a business owner who contacted us after one of our episodes about finding your niche. And they were really struggling to find their purpose. They're feeling lost in the marketplace. But through applying, some of those principles we discussed, they were able to identify a unique problem that they could solve. And their business has just flourished ever since.
That's incredible. It's a testament to the power of taking action, of stepping into that creator role. And speaking of amazing businesses, if you're a local business owner looking to expand your reach, we encourage you to reach out to us at info@businessreferred.com. We love supporting local businesses and helping them connect with a wider audience.
Yeah, it's a great way to be part of a community that values creativity and innovation.
Absolutely. And to all our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into unlocking your creative potential.
We hope you leave today feeling inspired and empowered. Empowered to create something beautiful, something meaningful, something that reflects those unique gifts that God has given you.
Thanks for tuning in to Faith is the Podcast, the 114. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into a topic that's sure to spark your curiosity and ignite your faith. Until then, keep creating.